Hello everyone, my name is Zaara Mohammed and I'm a 10th grader at International Academy of North Texas. I am so glad you decided to join the video version of the Advocacy for Afghans advocacy campaign. I understand that you had pre-scheduled plans during my live meeting, so I decided to give you another option to learn more about this advocacy campaign. Before we get started with this meeting, I would like you to fill out the first survey that says pre-survey in the description below. That will help me record some data for this project, and it will greatly increase the success of this project. Thank you. And also, on another note, I would like to thank my teachers from school, Miss Stapp, who helped me create this project. She gave a lot of guidance to me, and she showed me a lot of kindness whenever I asked her a lot of questions, which can be annoying at times. I would also like to thank Miss Johnston for helping me connect with so many people, and she also provided me with some closure on a different perspective than my own. I also would like to give a shout out to Miss Ashley Faye, the Developmental Director at Refugee Services, who decided to speak as a guest speaker at my 2 live meetings. And I would also like to thank the Deputy Ambassador of Afghanistan to Doha, Mr. Barakat Rahmati. He provided me some closure as an Afghan refugee, and it was a very eye-opening experience speaking with him. So now let's get on with this presentation. So the first question I'm going to be answering is, who am I? My name is Zaara Mohammed, as I said before. I am a 10th grade student at International Academy of North Texas. Another question you may be wondering is, why exactly am I doing this? In my school, in 10th grade, you were assigned the task to do a project that lasts a semester long, and you have complete freedom to do whatever you want. You are given the chance to pursue your passions and interests. And personally, I have always been interested in international relations, law, and anything to do with world conflict and helping out the world through any sort of humanitarian organization. So in August, when I was trying to find a topic that I was passionate about or something that I could do long term, Kabul fell. So I took this opportunity to speak up for the people who can't speak right now, who are being silenced by the Taliban. And as an Indian American and as a Muslim and as a woman, I felt that it was my duty to speak for these people who are suffering in Afghanistan. So now let's talk about the real problem that's going on in Afghanistan. I want you to close your eyes or just picture this. Picture the person or the woman who you value the most, or the multiple women that you value the most. It could be your mom, your sister, or your daughter, or your wife, or any other woman that you value the most in the world. And now I want you to picture a situation where you don't have money. You don't have any food, no water, no shelter, no internet, no Wi-Fi, no devices. You have none of your possessions, and you are starving, and you are forced to sell off that woman you love to a person who is in their senior ages, such as 50 plus, and you are utterly devastated because you couldn't save her. You couldn't save that woman because you need money to support your family. That is what is going on in Afghanistan today, except it's with children, little girls. This is a picture of Parwana Malik, She is 9 years old and she is living in Afghanistan today. She comes from a poor family. Her family does not have money, so they were forced to sell her off to a man who was 50 or more years old. Imagine that. A world where you have to sell your own daughter just to get money to support your family. As a woman, that's unacceptable. I can't imagine the pain that she must have been going through. Even in her nikah, a Muslim wedding, her parents begged the 50-year-old man to not harass her or kill her. But in reality, her parents might never see her again, and the man can harass her or kill her, and they may not even know because she was married off due to money. And her father even said that they may have to sell off their 4-year-old as well because the money that from Parwana wouldn't suffice their family for more than a couple months. That's sadly only one side of the story. Since the Taliban takeover, the economy has been crashing, and that also calls for malnutrition. 3 million children under the age of 5 are suffering from acute malnutrition, and half the population is suffering from malnutrition. So on top of women's rights being overlooked in Afghanistan, children are hungry, and not only that, but people are hungry as well. Their lives have been turned upside down, and no one is doing anything about it because we are all trying to mind our own business and ignore the fact that humans are suffering. These are some flags of the countries who have not accepted any Afghan refugees. In France, there have been many terrorist attacks by people who call themselves Muslim but aren't actually Muslim. Because of this, it has caused a widespread fear of Muslims, and France has denied access for Afghan refugees. So France isn't an option for Afghan refugees. Now, Pakistan is neighboring to Afghanistan. However, they claim that they're too full to have any more Afghan refugees. So that is another country that is not accepting Afghan refugees. Turkey has said that they do not want to be considered the warehouse of EU refugees. President Tayyip Erdogan even said that we will not take in Afghan refugees because of the fact that we don't want to be called the warehouse, and we do not have a duty to host these Afghan refugees. Obviously, there is a point, but as humans, we are required to help out our fellow humans. We are all in this together, and we should stand united. And lastly, in Central Asia, countries like Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan have claimed that they would help the Afghan refugees. However, they have not. They have not taken in anyone, although there have been false claims that they would. But we need to stop talking and actually start acting to help these Afghan refugees. I will now turn this meeting to Mr. Barakat Rahmati, the Deputy Ambassador of Afghanistan to Doha, who will talk a bit about his experience as an Afghan refugee.
Hello everyone. It's a privilege and an honor to be together with you here on an advocacy for Afghans. I am extremely grateful to Zaara Mohammed, who really invested a lot of time and effort and energy in putting together this program. Being a newcomer to this country, I was facing my own challenges, and I'm going to share with you a little bit about my situation here and people like me who came from Afghanistan to this country. So in order to share my insights with you, I'm trying to divide them into three parts. I'm going to give you a brief overview of what has happened in Afghanistan and I'm going to briefly touch upon what can we do for what kind of challenges these people are facing in this country, and then what can we do to help them resettle in their new country. So an overview of what has happened in Afghanistan. On August 15, the previous Afghan government, which was representing the Afghan people through election, was collapsed to the hands of a group that we previously considered them to be a terrorist group, and now we are waiting to see them if they have changed, because they are now in power and in control of the fate of over 35 million Afghans who are residing still inside of Afghanistan. So the fate of 35 million Afghans are in the hands of a very small group of people who have a terroristic background and now are trying to form a government inside Afghanistan. In the aftermath of that collapse, many people have tried to escape Afghanistan, and I'm sure some of you have seen the videos coming out of the Afghan airport, the airport in Afghanistan. People are trying to hang on to some aircraft that were taking off from the Kabul airport, and some of them have unfortunately lost their life. That was the kind of horror the people have faced and the people have sensed when the Taliban took over Afghanistan from the previous regime. There is a quadruple crisis in Afghanistan unfolding, and this quadruple crisis has been unfolding for quite a while, but with the new the new group imposing themselves on the Afghan people, that has been elevated. The Taliban taking over, there are bomb blasts in Afghanistan and continued conflicts in different parts of Afghanistan. We are facing the threat of COVID that everybody everywhere in the world has been facing, but in the absence of a government and a medical infrastructure in Afghanistan, that COVID challenge is unparalleled in terms of lack of services that are present there, and so many people losing their lives to this threat. I want to highlight with the emergence of the new variants of COVID, that crisis is being elevated to a new level in Afghanistan, and there is no service to offer remedies for the Afghan people in terms of healthcare and other forms of support to them during this crisis. We are also in the verge of an economic collapse because this new government is not recognized by any country, and thus their assets has been frozen in international banks. They don't have access to their assets. It's not their assets, but because they took over the country, the previous government's assets are now in their hands. So countries are refusing to give them the access to the assets that should serve the purpose of the Afghan people. And it's the right thing to do, because if you put money on the hands of terrorist groups who supported the events of 9/11, the horror events of 9/11, you don't know what will they do with all the equipments, the military equipments and everything they have inherited. And now if they get the funds, they might get more opportunity to harm other people around the world. So insecurity, human rights violation, severe droughts and poverty, a humanitarian crisis, and a new wave of COVID is only part of the challenges that the Afghan people are facing now. And this was something that was expected in Afghanistan. Everybody would know that with the new group coming in power in Afghanistan, the situation will get dire. And those who have contributed to the U.S. mission in Afghanistan in nurturing a democratic governance there, who this group have opposed by means of violence for 20 years, they would not sit in their places, and they would come in retaliation and kill some of these people who were part of the previous setup. Not only the government, but also other organizations who were contributing to the progress in Afghanistan. I want to briefly touch that these people have been forced to leave Afghanistan, and they left behind their countries, they left behind their jobs, they left behind, most of them left behind their immediate families, their sons and daughters, their wives and their husbands, and their extended relatives, their parents, their brothers and sisters, most of them back in Afghanistan under severe poverty and difficult situation. And I'm sharing this information because I think it's extremely important to understand what these people are going through in terms of the kind of background that they are coming from, but also in the current situation that they are living in. But the next kind of challenges they are facing is that in this new country which is going to become their new home, every one of us feel extremely privileged to be able to come to this country. Not many Afghans have been able to come. Only, let's say, roughly around 70,000 or 80,000 people have been so far accommodated to come to this country, but 35 millions are in Afghanistan. And to be able to come out of 35 million people and arrive in the United States where you feel safety, where you don't face all of those other crises that your people are experiencing, is an extremely great privilege. And the people of the United States has been extremely helpful and kind to us and to every Afghan who have been evacuated from Afghanistan. But there are things that doesn't go the way you want when you become an immigrant, when you leave everything behind and try to find a new home somewhere else in the world, 16,000 miles away. I'm going to briefly share with you some of those challenges to conclude how can you contribute to the situation for those Afghans, and then I'm going to highlight some of the opportunities that these people bring with themselves to this country. As with regards to the kind of challenges that these people are facing, let me tell you this: coming to this new country with a totally different culture is a cultural shock. Assume you are going to live in one of other, Western countries in Europe. You will be, facing a lot of probably things that you didn't expect. But to come from Afghanistan to the United States is from one extreme to the other extreme. And I don't necessarily mean that one culture is better than the other or one is inferior to the other. I'm just telling that there is a cultural shock. There is a difference of practice, societal practice in these two countries. And that is when you come to this country with your family, if you're lucky enough to have your family together with you, you will see that every practice is different here, and for that you need to adjust a lot of things, and that is not so easy. I've been a diplomat. I've been to many countries. I'm accustomed to new changes and new environments, and I'm again extremely privileged to be able to do a lot of things that most of those Afghans who arrive in this country are not still able to do, and they won't probably be able to do for the next couple of months, including driving, which is one of the most basic things. When I make a meeting, an arrangement to meet someone, I'm easily able to go and meet them because I can drive. I have a way of commuting. But most of these Afghans come here without a driver license. They can't get a driver license immediately because of the regulation, and they can't go to some of their appointments, even those that are important and necessary to attend. But there are a lot of other things. A lot of organizations, resettlement organizations inside the United States has been ramping up their capacities to help the Afghans. The Department of Homeland Security issued a statement and made a decision to streamline the Afghan cases processing. But there has been, let's say, 80,000 cases with every one of these organizations to process, while they have been ready to take 80 or 100 cases per month. So at one single point, one person was responsible to take care of 10 cases, and now he has to take care of 10,000 cases. You can imagine how complicated things are with these institutions, all of whom have a very serious commitment and will to support the Afghans. But as humans, we are bound to some certain limitations, and as institutions also, they can function to some certain levels, but they can't go beyond the availability of facilities and resources in their disposal. So to bring up all of the capacities in these institutions and the resources to these institutions, it takes time, and some of them don't feel that they have been given the kind of attention that is needed. When you come come out of a very difficult situation, with a dramatic change in your life, chaotic situation back in your country, and many people from your country trying to reach out to you because they think that you are in the United States and you must be able to help them, and you still in yourself are in a difficult situation. What I'm trying to convey here is that they are facing a lot of challenges. Simple things like commuting with a bus is something that we don't have in Afghanistan. We don't have a public, transportation service, functioning public transportation service. They don't know how to commute to the school, how to commute to work, or how to commute to a medical appointment that they have. And they need support with that. And many, many, many other basic things that you can't imagine that were a different practice in Afghanistan. So what I'm willing to say to you, and what I'm trying to bring your attention to, is that those communities who are receiving new Afghan comers will eventually face situations where it's odd or unprecedented or unexpected to them, but we can help these Afghans find their ways. What you need to do, what everybody of us who have the privilege of knowing the situation now better than those who just arrived in this country, is to help them find the comfort and the best practices in their new life. And it's not a challenging time, I'm telling you. First of all, don't wait for the new Afghan family to approach you. Go and approach them as soon as they arrive. Give them this feeling of welcoming. Let them find some comfort in their new environment and in their new community. And that's extremely important, and it goes a long, long, long way. And you can't imagine how important this is, because that first impression will probably shape their understanding of this new country for a long time. And try to understand their differences. Try to help them understand the practices, different practices, cultural practices, and societal practices in this country. Because again, they are coming from a totally different country, and they are psychologically under a lot of pressure. They have a lot of anxiety to find out what is waiting for them in this new country and how can they adjust. They don't know the language, one of the most important things you need as a human being to survive. And Please don't think that language is a barrier. Language is only one means of communication. I know there will be difficult, even if some of them know English, their English proficiency is in a totally different level. And but if you try to interact with them even without any knowledge of any language, I'm sure you're going to be able to make a good connection with them. And this is an opportunity for you guys and girls to learn a new language, a new culture, get familiar with their culture. They are extremely hospitable people, and once they settle in your community, you will enjoy a lot from interacting with them. This country has a history of nourishing and giving space for new talents to flourish and to bring change not only to this country but to humanities. And many Afghans come with a lot of talent and skills and expertise that would benefit your societies. And by that, I want to conclude that you can please, your voice matters. You can bring change and try to use your power. Trust me, this will go a long way in your own life and future, and it will go a long way in the life and future of the new Afghan comers and your societies. I wish you all the very best, and thank you again for taking the time to be with me here, and everybody else who organized this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rahmati, for sharing your perspective as an Afghan refugee. I would now like to introduce Ms. Ashley Faye, the Developmental Director of Refugee Service of Texas. She has come here to talk to you about what Refugee Services does and where it's located. You can use her as a resource to help this cause. Thank you. Now, Ms. Ashley Faye, would you please?
Hi, my name is Ashley Faye, and I'm the Development Director at Refugee Services of Texas. RST is the largest refugee resettlement agency in the state with 6 locations, including in the Rio Grande Valley, Houston, Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Amarillo. We serve, of course, refugees, but we also serve asylum seekers, asylees, unaccompanied minors, and survivors of trafficking. We provide a really broad array of services to help our clients meet their goal, which is to achieve self-sufficiency as soon as possible. And to that end, we have an employment program where we're able to place our clients with community partners so that they can gain employment right away. We also have case management that's ongoing, an English program. We have legal assistance, trauma-informed mental health services, and so much more. So it's an honor to work for RST. And if you have any questions, please visit our website, which is rstx.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Faye, for your insight on refugee services. Now that we've heard from both Mr. Rahmati and Ms. Faye, I would like to conclude with, we need to make a stand. We need to stand against the suffering that the Afghan refugees and the Afghans in Afghanistan are facing. So in order to do that, I have created 2 letter templates that can be sent to either the UN, more specifically the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, or President Biden. I would be so glad if you could fill out those letters and send them to their intended recipient. I have also included a Amazon wish list if you were here before December 17th, 2021. This list is a list of things that Refugee Services of Texas needs. If you would like to donate to Refugee Services, please send me an email, which I will also include in the description below. Lastly, I have a survey that records data for my report, and if you could please fill out that survey so that I can get data for my report. I wanted to thank you all for joining me here today. Your support here has greatly impacted the success of my project. I hope that I have encouraged you to stand up, not for just this cause, but multiple causes that you may face in the future. Thank you.